Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here. Hope you're having an amazing time here at Unreal Fest. My name is Paulo Corona. I'm the lead artist at Creators Corp. And today I will be talking to you about the Lighting Scalability Manager. So just a very quick intro about me. I have more than 7 years of experience working within the Unreal Engine ecosystem. I've worked on the TV and films, architectural visualization, virtual production in the video game industries. And I have a background in UEFN for more than 2.5 years in the private early beta. And currently, I'm the lead artist at Creators Corp. We're a Fortnite studio that helps brands and influencers bring their ideas to Fortnite, such as Clicks, Booga, Coachella, the US Open, among others. And we have over 50 million plays across all of our maps. This is just a quick example of some of the maps that we've worked on. Booga Endgame, Clicks Red vs. Blue, Stephen Curry, the Clicks Mega Ramp, Weapon Tycoon, the music pillars for Coachella, and many more. So what do I do as a lead artist? Well, mainly I supervise the art in our maps. I'm the one in charge of making the artistic decisions. I also do some modeling, sculpting, texturing, materials, environment. I'm basically a 3D generalist. And I also ensure the visual quality of the projects that we work on. I also do some technical art, which is actually the area this talk is about. So what can you expect from this talk? Well, first of all, I'm gonna show you a very basic understanding of Lumen, a quick overview of different lighting techniques that you can use to light up your maps, how to get consistent lighting on your UEFN projects across all devices and platforms, but most importantly, I don't only want to show you what buttons to click, but I really want to help you understand why things are happening the way that they do. So let me introduce you to Timmy. Timmy is a UEFN developer. He's been on the ecosystem for a long time, but he has a problem. He's confused because he made this awesome, moody, creepy map for the Walking Dead, and it looks like this. But whenever he runs his project on his mobile console, it looks like this. He's very confused. He sees a lot of people talking about Lumen, the day sequence device, the post-process volumes, and he's really confused. So let's help Timmy a little bit. Let's get started by talking about what even is Lumen. Everyone talks about Lumen. Some people love it, some people hate it, but what even is Lumen? So basically, Lumen is a technology developed by Epic Games that simply makes everything look beautiful. Why? Well, because it has real-time global illumination. Awesome, right? Real-time what? Okay, let me get into it. Here we have this very simple example. It's just a character standing in the interior of like this semi-cube. We have this light source on the top left, which resembles the sun. And that sun is shining light to the character. That character is shining a light into the interior of the cube. And that's basically it. This doesn't look realistic. This doesn't resemble real life at all. This is basically it. This is global illumination off, Lumen off as well. So let's see how it looks with Lumen on. This is global illumination on. As you can see, it's day and night difference. Again, the sun is shining light to the character. But this light, it's bouncing all around the interior of the cube. This is helping the character get lit up in other places that previously he wasn't lit up. Also, another property of global illumination, as you can see, we have a green wall there on the right. The lights that are hitting that surface are inheriting that color of that surface. So that's another property of global illumination. So as you can see, it's literally day and night. So how does this behave in UEFN? Let's jump right into the editor. Here we have this completely empty scene. Let's make it a little bit more interesting. We're gonna go into the Fortnite folder, search for prefabs, and let's just go into the Lazy Links folder, and let's just add this cute little shop right here. Okay, so quick note, this is not going to be a realistic example. This is just going to be to show you what global illumination is. So to do that, we're going to disable all lighting first. So to do that, we're going to go here on the window panel and open the world settings. we're gonna disable all time of day managers. So that's gonna make our scene completely black. We can actually see that there's a light over here. Let's just gonna delete it for not to create any confusion. So completely black environment, right? So first of all, let's turn global illumination off. And by that, we're gonna go into the engine scalability settings and set global illumination to low. Okay, I'm gonna get to that tool in a second, by the way. So let's first add a light. We're gonna go here in the lights panel and drag and drop a directional light into our scene. Cool. So now let's just rotate it so some sunlight hits the interior of the shop. And there we go. You can see that the sun, it's shining light here on the floor, but the interior, it's still pitch black. This, again, doesn't behave like real life at all, because this is global illumination off, AKA Lumen off. So we're gonna see how it looks with global illumination on by setting, again, global illumination to high. This will turn it on. And now you can see that the interior of this shop, it's a bit more lit up now. Light is bouncing here on the floor, and it's creating this new source of light that is lighting the interior of the shop up, right? So just to make it a bit more clear, I'm gonna select my directional light, go into the details panel, and I'm gonna increase the indirect lighting intensity to something like 10. And there we go. Now the interior of this shop, it's much more lit up, right? So let me go back to this tool. What's this engine scalability setting? The engine scalability setting, it's a tool that basically allows us to adjust the viewport quality of certain features to achieve different levels of quality. We have 5 different levels, which are low, medium, which those two are actually Lumen off, and we have the high, epic, and cinematic qualities. This tool basically helps us gradually improve the quality of these features by enabling and improving certain aspects of the engine. So quick summary right here. Whenever you're in the low settings, it's for Nintendo Switch and mobile. Medium, it's for PS4 and Xbox One. The high settings are for PS5 and Xbox Series S and X. And PC, quick note, only when in-game you have that setting set to high. The same applies for epic and cinematic settings. It only applies when you have the in-game settings set to that quality. It's also worth noting that these are just some approximations. Each platform, each console is a combination of different levels on the different features, which we can also actually see here on the editor. If instead of going into the engine scalability settings, down here we have the preview platform, we have many ways to see to preview the level in different devices, such as Android, Gen 8 and Gen 9 consoles, the portable console, iOS, PC, etc. This tool is just a bit buggy at the moment. It can crash the editor, so for the sake of this presentation, we're just gonna stick to the engine scalability settings. So why is all this boring stuff important to understand? Well, it's bad news. Unfortunately, Lumen is not available for all devices. Why is that? Because the lower end the device is, it of course means that it has less powerful components, therefore it has less performance, and there's more optimizations that needs to be made for that console to run games smoothly. So that, of course, translates into less visual fidelity. So Lumen compatibility. Lumen is not compatible, is not available for Gen 8 consoles, again, such as Xbox One, PS4, Nintendo Switch, and mobile, but it is compatible with Gen 9 consoles, again, Xbox Series S and X, PlayStation 5, and PC only when you have Lumen turned on in your game. So a very quick look at the Fortnite player base distribution across the platforms. We can see that more than 40% of the Fortnite players don't have Lumen available in their platform because they're either playing in mobile, in mobile consoles, Gen 8 consoles, and I also put a portion of PC right here because we all know that there's some Fortnite players that like to play on low settings, on performance mode. So it's actually only 45.5% of players that have a Gen 9 console that has Lumen available. Quick note, this data is not official at all. It's just based on our analytics over maps at Creators Corp, but it gives us a very good idea on the player distribution. So if there's no Lumen in lower-end devices, how are we supposed to light up our scenes when there's no direct sunlight hitting? Well, we have something very cool called the Skylight. What is the Skylight? I'm going to use a real-world example here. This is a picture that I took at a restaurant last week. I was there and I was like, I need to use this as an example for my talk. As you can see in that picture, there's no direct sunlight coming into the scene, but it's still pretty well lit up, right? Those hanging lights in the ceiling, they were turned off. They were just decorations, so the lighting in this place was not depending on that. So why is it so well lit up? Well, because in real life, the sun is not the only light source that we have. Actually, the sky itself works as a giant diffuse light. That's one of the reasons why everything looks darker at night, because one, there is no sun, and two, the sky, it's black, it's dark, so it's not emitting light to the world, so it's not lighting things up. Actually, another reason is that whenever you're in like in a sunset view, there's like this pink and orangey colors in the sky, and you can see that lighting being reflected on the streets or in the buildings or whatever. So the sky works as a light source in real world. So how does the Skylight work in UEFN? Let's jump right into our example again. I'm going to turn global illumination off again by setting it to low. And let me just real quick go back to the presentation. How does it work? It works in two ways. The first way, it's called the capture scene. It basically works, you take the actor, drag and drop it into the world, and it takes like a 360 image, also known as a cube map, and uses that information to light up your map with this light coming in from all directions. The second way that it works, it's the same, but instead of doing it itself, you specify which cube map to use. Actually, UEFN has a library of some cube maps that you can use, or you can download some online. So now let's jump into the editor. I'm gonna drag and drop a Skylight component here into our scene. And you can see that nothing is happening. If we increase the intensity to something like 100, nothing is happening. Why is it? Because we're at the capture scene. So why is this? Because the sky, it's completely black, so it has no information. It doesn't have any source of information to light up our scene. So what we can do here to fix it, it's to re-enable our sky. And we can do that by, again, going to the world settings and uncheck the disable all time of day managers. We're just basically gonna re-enable time of day managers. So now we have information in the sky. We have a very pretty blue sky. So now the Skylight, it has information to light up our scene. So if we go here into the source type, and instead of having set to the capture scene, we set it to the specified cube map. Now the cube map parameter gets enabled, and we can choose one of these in the library. So let's choose, for example, this one, and set the intensity to something higher. And actually, let's real quick set the mobility of the light to movable, and there we go. Now the Skylight is using this exact cube map to light up the interior of the shop. As you can see, also, this wall right here, it has some kind of pink-orange tint, and the reason for that is because this cube map, if we open it and zoom in a little bit, we can see that it has this sun with these colors that is using that information to light up. So if we can actually like rotate the angle of that cube map, and we can see that that orange spot, it's rotating across the scene. So that's the skylight. So does this mean that I have to do this process for all of my maps and light things up this way? Well, absolutely not. Why is that? Well, because we actually have the awesome day sequence device. Sorry. How does the day sequence device work? We're gonna go back into the editor again, and let's delete the skylight, and let's delete our directional light. You can see the scene is still lit up, and that's because every time you create a new level in UEFN, it comes with a default day sequence device. You can see it here, up here in the outliner. It's grayed out, so the way to actually play around with it, it's to go into the Fortnite folder and search for day sequence device. So now let's drag and drop it into our scene, and there we go. This device is super cool. It has a lot of features that you can tweak. For example, you can tweak the day and night cycle. You can set it to have a fixed time. You can set it to start at a specific time, and many other options. You can set it to be a volume, so only those changes will be visible whenever you are inside this yellow cube, which is very useful, but for the sake of this presentation, we're just keep it infinite. We can actually also tweak the sunlight. We can change the intensity of it. We can rotate it to give it like a different angle. We have some fog that we can play with if we increase the density. Now the world starts to get a bit more creepy. We also have the skylight that we can tweak that we just talked about. We can increase the intensity of it as well. Everything will become much brighter because it's lighting up the fog as well, actually, but also the interior of the shop, it's more well lit up. And you can also tweak the sky. You can change the colors of the sky. You can change the sun size. You can actually show a moon instead of a sun. You can change the size of that moon. You can also show stars if you're set to a night sky. You can change the clouds, the colors, the opacity of those clouds. You can do a lot of things with this day sequence device. So let's go into a bit more of a real world example. This is a pillars map that we worked on Creators Corp for Coachella. So you can see that we're on this pretty cool, surreal, ethereal environment. But the first thing that pops up to me is that we can see the bottom of these pillars, right? So I don't like it. So the first thing that I think we can do here to fix it, it's to fade it out. And how are we gonna do it? With a day sequence device and with some fog. So let's drag and drop a day sequence device to our scene. Now let's go into the fog component, and I'm gonna enable it, and it's started to appear already, but let's tweak it. First, I'm gonna choose a color for the fog that it's gonna be a bit more like pink to match the color of the pillars a bit better. Now I'm gonna increase the secondary intensity of it to something like 2. There we go, that's starting to look very cool. But now let's also increase the fall-off of that fog. The fall-off, it's how smooth is that transition from fog and non-fog. So I increased it, so it's less smooth. And also let's play with the offset of it. It's basically just moving up and down the fog. So let's increase it so we can not see the bottom of the pillars anymore. And there we go. Well, we can actually see there's like this white line on the end of the fog. So if we set the max opacity to something like 0.01, there we go. Now it's much more smooth. And this looks awesome. Now we accomplished what we wanted. We cannot see the bottom of the pillars, and this still looks pretty ethereal and surreal. So let's see how it looks on low settings. We're gonna go into the engine scalability settings, set it to low, and there we go. There's no fog in our scene. Why is it? Well, because since the low setting is set for lower end consoles, there's a lot of optimizations that needs to be made for the game to run smoothly, as I was telling you. So yeah, the fog just behaves differently on a lower end platform. Thankfully, we have a solution. We're gonna go into the Place Actors tab. We're gonna go into All and search for fog. And we have this local fog volume right here. So let's drag and drop it into our scene. It behaves like kind of a sphere, which is a fog volume. So now let's scale it up so it covers most of our level. There we go. Now let's, of course, move it a bit downwards so we can see the actual pillars. There we go. And let's change the albedo of that fog to something, again, like pink. So awesome. We're making progress. This is how it will look in a mobile platform, like in a Switch or in a Android or iOS. But I don't know if anyone noticed, but we have a problem right here. We have actually two fogs in our scene. We have the local fog volume, but we also have the day sequence device fog that appears when on epic settings. So let me show you real quick. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm gonna change the color of this fog to something completely different, like this green. And it's behaving as it should in the low settings, but if we go back into the epic settings, it looks very ugly. It looks like, well, we can see the pink fog back here, but right here is like gray, and it's because the pink fog and the green fog are blending, so they're like canceling each other. It looks very bad, right? Actually, if I disable it, we can see that the pink fog is still there. So this is a bit of a problem. Yeah, how can we solve this? Well, this is what Tim is thinking. If there was only a tool that helped us hide and unhide stuff from our maps depending on the scalability setting, well, Timmy, I got you again. We have the Lighting Scalability Manager. What is the LSM? Well, it's a tool that allows us to hide and show actors in our game depending on the scalability setting that the game is running at. Behind the scenes, the Lighting Scalability Manager is listening to changes in the global illumination quality. And very importantly, it does let us show and hide lights, post-process volumes, meshes, and blueprints. But most importantly, it does not let us show and hide devices, unfortunately. So we, unfortunately, cannot have multiple day sequence devices enabling and disabling depending on the scalability setting. So let's jump back into the editor, and let's solve this using the Lighting Scalability Manager. If we go into the Fortnite folder and open the lighting folder, then we're gonna have the tools. We can see it right here, Lighting Scalability Manager. So let's drag and drop it into our scene. And we can see that it's pretty simple. There's not too much going on other than this actors array. So this is very intuitive, actually. Let's add an actor to that array. Let's expand it. And we can see that it gives us the option to choose an actor, and we have the scalability settings right here. So let's open the actor thing and search for fog. Let's select it. And now we want this fog to be visible only on the low and medium settings. So we're actually gonna uncheck cinematic, epic, and high settings, and there we go. The green fog is lost now, and we only see the pink one. So just to make sure, we're gonna go into the settings again, and we're gonna go into the low settings, and we can see that the green fog is still there. And that's because we set it to only be visible in the low and medium settings. Actually, if we go into the medium settings as well, we can see it here. So that's very nice. Just let me go back into the pink because that green is hurting my eyes. And there we go. A very quick summary. The low and the medium settings are for Gen 8, and mobile, which is Lumen off. And the high, epic, and cinematic settings are Gen 9 consoles and PC, which is Lumen on. Okay, So let me go into another very quick example that I prepared for you just to wrap things up. I'm going to open this level. And let me go into the Epic settings. There we go. We have this very cute, cozy nighttime bedroom, which is only being lit up by the TV light and that lamp on the bed. So this is how we want it to look like. But what if we go into the low settings? Let's just give a couple seconds for the shaders to compile. And there we go. This looks completely different from what we like. So let's solve this again using the Lighting Scalability Manager. I'm going to take my lighting setup, which again is just the bed light, the post-process volume, and the TV light. We're going to Control-D to duplicate. And now let's just very quickly rename them to low. So I highly recommend you guys have this kind of naming conventions. It's just going to make your life easier. So, okay, now we have one of those actors duplicated for each one of those to use them in the low settings. So now let's go again into the Fortnite folder. Let's search for scalability. Here we have it. Let's drag and drop the Lighting Scalability Manager into our scene. And let's add 3 actors into this array. And now let's choose this new set of lighting. So let's search for low, and we're gonna do the bed light first, then we're gonna do the post-process volume, and then we're gonna do the rectangular light for the TV. So now, of course, let's disable those ones for the high, epic, and cinematic settings, so they're only visible on the low and medium. And there we go. Now everything is set up. Now let's get to actually balancing this lighting. Okay, so just for safety, let's just save real quick. There we go. Now let's jump into our process volume first, which is what is gonna control the exposure and brightness of our scene. We have it selected, and now let's turn down the exposure compensation a little bit to make it look darker. Something around there seems pretty good. And now we wanna show the lights a bit more. So let's go into the TV light. And right now it's set to 5 candelas. Let's bump it up a little bit so it's more visible. And now let's do it for the point light for the bed light here. So let's do it as well. And there we go. This looks much closer to what we want. Let's just do a quick comparison. If we go to the Epic settings, it's a bit darker and it's a bit warmer. So let's get back into the post-process volume in the low settings. And let's set this to something a bit darker, somewhere around there. And just to make it a bit warmer, let's go into the color grading temperature, and let's increase the temperature a little bit so it looks a bit more warm. There we go. Of course, this is never gonna look the exact same, because again, each one of these scalability settings enables and disables some stuff. So actually the shadows are something that gets disabled while on low settings. So that's why the bed looks like floating right here without any shadow. But the actual look and feel, it's pretty similar. We're on low versus epic, and there we go. That's the Lighting Scalability Manager. So just a very quick summary. We need to understand that Lumen is not available for all platforms. Therefore, we need to learn these workarounds to try to get the most similar result possible across all devices. It's very important also to learn how to use the day sequence device, since it's a very powerful tool. It's a huge time saver, and it's very relatively simple to use once you get ahead of it. And most of the times, it will just have all the features that you need to light up the maps as you want. Also, encourage you to test your maps in the different scalability settings so you don't get any bad surprises when testing or while your map is already published. And yeah, use the Lighting Scalability Manager to show and hide lights, post-process volumes, blueprints, depending on your platform needs. So just as a conclusion, lighting looks different in devices because each one of these devices has their own set of optimizations to run your maps smoothly. Understanding lighting is crucial to be able to handle this balancing across platforms. And again, the Lighting Scalability Manager is a great tool to help us achieve this balancing. So thank you so much. If any of you guys want to ask any questions, please feel free to take the mic. Thank you so much. Thank you.